All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to start off the video with a quick game of Would You Believe This? All right. Would you believe an NBA team in the year 2023, the fast paced offense of today's era, would you believe a team won the game shooting 37.5% from the field, 26.9% from downtown, 64.7% from the free throw line? So just horrible statistics, horrible splits from top to bottom. Would you believe that team won an NBA game? Well, the answer is yes. And today, that team was the Toronto Raptors. One big, just kind of point I believe in fully is good teams, great teams, they find ways to win. They find ways to win. I don't care who you're playing. I don't care if it's the best team in the league or the worst team in the league. They find ways to win. When you're struggling, you find ways to win. Resilient squad. The Toronto Raptors are a very resilient squad, and they got their fourth straight victory tonight, or actually this afternoon, against the Detroit Pistons. And, don't let the Pistons record fool you. They're a team that comes in and night out. Their future looks extremely bright, but they played their hardest, and they're a very talented basketball team. I fully believe the squad will be back in the playoffs next season, but that's been an issue for Toronto in their first half of the season, is not being able to close out these types of games when you're just not on your best effort. And keep in mind, Freddie Double V didn't play tonight. OG Anunoby is in his second game from missing over a month. So this is not a full strength, fully healthy Raptors team. And it's on the road. It's a midday game, which I personally always love. You're not on your best. And this is a squad that shot 37% from the field, 27% from downtown, and about 65% from the free throw line. And, just statistics would tell you the Raptors really shouldn't have won this basketball game. So, welcome back to the channel. Obviously, we're talking about Toronto today. 4 straight wins, as I alluded to earlier on in the video. They have now won 7 of their last 8 basketball games. And, even we'll talk about tonight's game, but even just in general, my stance on Toronto being a top 6 seed is, from what I've gathered from other Raptors content creators or just national media throwing out polls or what have you, it seems to be pretty much split. Like 40% of Raptors fans think the Raptors will be a top 6 seed. 40% says they'll be a play-in seed. And the other 20% are like, I don't really know. It's a good question. Glad you asked. I don't know. When I look at the East in general, especially the playing teams, we have the Miami Heat, who, I know we're like 3 days into post All-Star break, but when we take a look at it, the Heat have lost 3 straight games right now, and Kyle Lowry's still injured. I know that's honestly, they're probably a little bit better off. Sorry, Raps fans, but you guys understand it. You guys get that. No disrespect. I'm just saying, as it stands right now, the Miami Heat are not a great basketball team. You have Atlanta, who just fired their head coach like less than a week ago. You have the Toronto Raptors right there. And then you have the Washington Wizards, who you just never really know. The good news is Toronto now has a game advance over Washington. There's a car alarm going off right now. I hope that doesn't pick up well on the microphone. Apologize if it does. But this was a game where Jakob Poeltl, to me, he's only played a handful of games for this Raptors team. That thing's really going right now. All right, stop. Oh, never mind. Jakob Poeltl, specifically on the last couple of possessions, he had a great pass to Pascal Siakam to put some points on the board. And then he also had a huge defensive stop against, I believe it was Marvin Bagley, who it's something that Toronto has just never really had. Toronto is a great defensive team. They're a bunch of complementary pieces out there. What the hell is going on? I hope we don't have to edit this video. But Jakob Poeltl had a great defensive stop in the last possession of the game. And I'm not saying, guys like Precious, if he was in, Pascal Siakam, if he was in, Scotty Roy, whatever the case may be. I'm not saying these guys aren't capable of, protecting the rim, getting a stop in the paint with the game on the line. But Jakob Poeltl he just takes you to the next level. You now have a consistent, reliable big man presence. And to be honest with you, Jakob, whether it was with Toronto in the early stage of his career or even earlier this season with San Antonio, at any point in Jakob Pertl's NBA career, has he been a guy where you can look at statistically and make like an assumption on? I mean, if you were to make an assumption on Jakob Pertl, you'd be like, oh yeah, he's a good center. He's probably top 10. He's more so towards 10 than he is 5, but he seems like a reliable big man, not only with health, but just statistics alone. Jakob Pertl is a good player on both sides of the ball. When you watch Spurs games in the first half of the season, or if you just are watching the Raps games right now, I don't even need to explain this to you. Jakob Pertl is an all-star-esque talent that helps your team get to that next level. And I seriously think, you know, I really just think it's going to be the difference maker for this Raptors team. Now, I've said time and time again, this Raptors team this year reminds me a lot of Toronto last season, where they could not get healthy, like honestly, at any point in the season, but they were just struggling. It's a good team that's playing like an average squad, and they weren't able to figure it out. And then second half of the season comes along, and keep in mind it is a little bit different because Toronto was what, 3 games below 500 at the time of the last two. They've won 2 games since the All-Star break, so I think there were 3 games below 500 post All-Star break. Last year it was a little bit different. I believe they were 33 and 27, so still kind of along the same lines, 4 or 5 game differential. But Toronto in the second half of the season, as they start getting the health, as they start building the chemistry and the rapport with each other, they looked like a completely different team. I remember like being like Toronto could easily have a top 4 seed and make a decent playoff push. Unfortunately, that's not quite how it went, but they did climb all the way up in the standings, and they would go on these 4-game winning streaks, these 5-game winning streaks, lose 1, win 4, lose 1, win 4. And at the end of the season, all of it just kind of adds up, and you go into the playoffs with kind of a chip on your shoulder, thinking like, can a team really beat us in 7 games? At least we have a fighting chance. We know we have a fighting chance. So this last 20 or so games for Toronto is going to be extremely critical. It's going to be extremely important. And when we take a look at the standings, even, they're right at 9. They're about a half game behind the Atlanta Hawks, who, like I said, we all know fired Nate McMillan not too long ago. And then you have the Miami Heat, who haven't really been able to figure it out too much. And, technically Brooklyn is still that number 5 seed. I'm not quite sure how much longer that is going to last. Personally, I don't think it will last for long at all, especially because, my Chicago Bulls last night, it was embarrassing. It was actually really bad for Brooklyn. It's not like Chicago was, playing an A+ game. It was just, no, like Brooklyn sucked last night. So my money, not betting advice, my money is on the Toronto Raptors being the 6th seed in the Eastern playoffs. Now, right now, that would not be, I don't know if it would be ideal for anybody, but currently the Philadelphia 76ers are the 3rd seed. And I know Philly made a lot of improvements in the offseason, and we have still so much regular season basketball to play, but like, what was the difference maker last year? Obviously, the Raptors desperately need a perimeter shooter. We've known this for 2 years now at least. So that is a caveat. But Jakob Pertl on last year's Raptor squad, Toronto started the series off miserable and desperate, and the way the series ended was, man, if they could have those first 2 games back in Philly, I'm not sold on Philly getting out of the first round. So I'm just saying, I'm not trying to get too far ahead of myself, but you just never know is kind of the point of this video. So Toronto right now, regardless of what happens, 4 straight wins, 7 of their last 8. OG Anunoby is back. Freddie Double V will be back, and they're playing at a high level. And even when you're not like today, you're still winning games. So it's just a great sign for things to come. So hit that like button, hit that sub button for more Raptors and NBA content, and I'll catch you guys later. But most importantly, drop some comments on the Raptors.